I'm Scott Williamson, and I'm honored to be here. It's been a pleasure for me to be a guest curator in music here at the Taubman for the last 10 years, and for the last 2 years to be the founder of an artist collective based here in Roanoke, and we're excited to be presenting this Listening to Paintings, a special edition made possible by some generous donors. And here we have not only voice with piano, but also with dance, thanks to Pedro Szalay. Our theme is mental health awareness, and the theme of this program is renewal and healing. We move from dark to light, like a nocturne to a bright, sunlit, plein air painting, if you will. In this first set of songs, there'll be 4 pieces, opening with a beautiful evocation of the hills of Great Britain by one of England's World War I soldier poets, Ivor Gurney, who sadly died in a mental institution, suffered from bipolar disorder, and had a breakdown after serving in the trenches in World War I, where he was also gassed. His lyric voice captures that sense of English melancholy, which we will trace back several centuries, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We close this set with a beautiful new song by Abby Bettinas that sets a poem by Opal Whiteley, who, like Gurney, died in an asylum in Great Britain. She spent her childhood in Oregon and was a child prodigy writer, diarist, and poet. And some of her themes are so beautifully suited to a space like this. Themes of nature and renewal of nature, night and stars. There's a beautiful image in the poem of the harp of stars. She also has an ability to evoke the voice of a child, and so that sense of innocence of the child's voice is present as well. And the dichotomy of childhood innocence with adult experience is another one that is highlighted both in this program and in the experience of many of these artists who have written about their own journeys with illness, with bipolar disorder and other neurodiversity complexes. So we are giving voice to them as well today. We also include Samuel Barber's beautiful nocturne, Sure on This Shining Night, which is one of his most beloved songs and also so characteristic of his lyrical melancholy voice. He suffered from alcoholism and depression at the end of his life before dying of cancer. In the short span of his life and productivity, he produced an amazing body of beautiful, beautiful lyric works. So it's a pleasure to include Sure on This Shining Night here as well.
I long seek for my
For the middle of our program, we move back in time. And so I'm so happy to be in front of this amazing 16th century Flemish tapestry. The worlds that it depicts, the layers of meaning, the references to mythology, the characters involved, all of these aspects go into the making of music as well. So starting with the music of John Dryden, who really could be considered the first emo songwriter in the English language. He was an Elizabethan composer, went into exile after he didn't get the job from Queen Elizabeth that he coveted, and made music in Denmark until Elizabeth died, and then returned to England and published his lute songs around the turn of the 17th century. He was a remarkable musician and artist, also a poet. His motto was "Semper dolent, semper dolent," always sad, always dolent. And in Flow My Tears, we hear that sense of melancholy. I mentioned English melancholy when talking about Ivor Gurney's songs, and there is a sense in the style of English music, in the folk songs, the prevalence of minor keys, for example. Listen at the beginning of the Dolent for the simple, what we call in music a descending tetrachord, 4 notes that go down the scale. Flow my tears. That same progression underpins songs as varied as Hit the Road Jack, Time in a Bottle, and Stairway to Heaven. It became such a signature for lament, the way certain colors and gestures and techniques in painting have been representative, that the descending tetrachord was known as the motif of lament. Barbara Strozzi, another 17th century composer from Venice, a rare woman at the time to have success and have her music published. Of course, it was not easy, and she courted controversy because of the fact that she was a woman artist and expressing herself. She does it with delightful irony in the song that we'll hear today. A complete contrast to the melancholy music of Doland. In Strozzi's case, the irony and the wit of the spurned lover is what drives this gavotte of a song. Then we end with another piece evoking mythological references by the 17th century composer Henry Purcell, who, like Doland, wrote the Baroque lament into his music, his most famous one being the close of Dido and Aeneas, his masque or opera from the 17th century. Music, for a while, invokes one of the Furies, Alecto, who, like Medusa, like the Gorgon in Greek mythology, had snakes for hair. And there's a reference to the torture of the soul happening until the music can soothe it. So it's a beautiful evocation of how music is used as therapy and has been used as therapy for as long as we have records. Ancient scriptures and poems and tales from King David to Orpheus mention this consoling, healing aspect of music, and Purcell was known as Orpheus Britannicus, the Orpheus of Great Britain. So it's a pleasure for us to sing these songs and have them danced for you and do them in a space with so much beauty. Reminding us that the beauty produced by artists who have suffered from mental illness, from bipolar disorder and other forms of depression and other neurodiverse illnesses, the act of expressing is one way to work through one's own illness. The links between artistic creativity and mental illness go back to Aristotle and even earlier philosophers, and others have chronicled the anatomy of melancholy. Again, another 16th century reference, and one as dense with characters and meanings as this tapestry. This is Robert Burton's self-same book, Anatomy of Melancholy, which is over 1,000 pages. So, hope you enjoy these 3 songs from the 17th century.
My tears fall from your springs, exiled forever, let me mourn. When night backward her sad infamy sings, let me fall down, vain lights, shine you no more. No nights are dark enough for those that in despair their last fortunes deplore. Light doth not shame disclose. Never may my woes be revered, since pity's fled, and tears and sighs and groans, my weary days, my weary days of all joys have dimmed my bed. From thy spire of counted
Thank you again for joining us. And thanks to my friends and colleagues, Asherah Capellaro, soprano, Bill McCorkle, piano, and Pedro Szalay, the dancer and choreographer and director of Southwest Virginia Ballet. It's been such an honor to work with my collective colleagues and put this program together and share it with you all. And thank you for being here. And if you're in the area and have not been to the Taubman, make sure you come in and visit. There's always amazing work on display, and right now is no exception. Our last set opens with another song by Evo Gurney, and it is a setting of an Elizabethan song by John Fletcher, a contemporary of Shakespeare. It's called Sleep, and it uses images of sleep and dreams to conjure that sense of therapy that we know now from science that sleep is for our bodies and our brains. And like many artists, there is an intuitive grasp of truth, perhaps ahead of the curve, and Sleep is no exception. It's a beautiful song, and we hope you enjoy it. It works like an invocation or a prayer. If we were to invoke one of the mythological gods, perhaps depicted in the tapestry we visited earlier, it would be Morpheus, the god of sleep, perhaps. In the song we say, from the Hebrew liturgy, we are praying for peace and unity in a beautiful and haunting song from the 1980s. You could say that our last two songs are 80s power ballads. We end with a beautiful setting by Ricky Ian Gordon of Emily Dickinson's Will There Really Be a Morning? And this song, weaving the piano and the voice into beautiful counterpoint of lines, it is so parallel to many of the paintings on the walls here in the museum, in which the eye just follows lines and colors, the shape, the form, the texture. We're reminded that so many of the vocabularies we have for one form inform the other. So we can talk about chromatics and harmonies, we can talk about rhythm, of course we talk about color and light in all of these mediums. So to end this program, Will There Really Be a Morning? Thank you.
Come, sleep, and in thy sweet deceiving, lock me in delight awhile. There some pleasing dream beguile my fancies, that from thence I may feel and influence all my powers of Thou art a shadow, but a sign. Let me know some little joy. With that sorrow long alone, contented with a thought, through an idle fancy wrought. For let Son